Happy New Year, everybody! This is the first video for 2018. I hope you guys had an amazing holiday. We did. We were out of town, had a little vacation for ourselves if you were following along on Instagram. We are back now. Happy 2018. Hope you're doing well. I know it's now like week 2, but anyway. So the first video I wanted to start with, a lot of you asked me about SAB, School of American Ballet. What's it like? What does it take? You just want to know about SAB. So I thought I would work that into another Once Upon a Point, which is my story time videos about telling you about my experience at SAB. How I got in, what happened. This might be in 2 parts. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. But I want to just take you through it and give you some SAB insights as we go. That's kind of the best way for me to do this. So I attended my very first SAB summer program when I was 13. I auditioned like everybody else in January, and I ended up getting a scholarship, which was great. And I was very young at the time, didn't really know where I wanted to dance, to be honest, but everybody said, oh, you should try out for SAB, do it. So I did, and I ended up going and rooming at the time with a friend of mine, which, guys, I don't really recommend. If you go to SAB or you go to a summer course, be very, very careful about rooming with a friend. What ended up happening is we both got in level 2. So my very first SAB summer course, I was in level 2. Yeah, because I wasn't particularly good at the time. I had some weight issues actually at 13. I was still, you know, you're at that age you're trying to grow into yourself. So I was a little bit of a roly-poly. But roly-poly Katie. So what ended up happening is my friend and I got in the same level. And so we roomed together, we were in the same level. And by the end of the summer, we just weren't really friends anymore. So if you want to room with your friend, great. It works better if you're in different levels. But for me, it didn't go well. So be very, very careful about going with someone to a summer course who's from your studio. Now, maybe many of you have had other great experiences, but I did not. I did very well that summer. The only problem was my weight. I felt a little bit chunky in the class, but I did very well, fell in love with the place, loved the teachers, loved the classes. But I will say this, and this is getting very honest, SAB for the younger ones is an entirely different summer program than for the older ones. For the older ones, it's very intense. They are looking to see people. They want to ask for the year. You have a whole different set of teachers, an entirely different schedule. For the younger ones, it's a lot more relaxed. It's a little bit, not easy, but I remember having like ballet class and then character, and that was it for the day. Or ballet class and maybe an hour point, and all the ballet classes are on flat. And then so you get maybe in your point shoes twice a week, maybe 3 times. The older summers, as I'll get to in a minute, is entirely different. It's a lot more stressful. It's a lot more exhausting. So I would recommend, if you are looking for a very intense summer course and you are younger, 12, 13, maybe even 14, I would go somewhere else. Unless you are a little bit older and want to stay for the year, SAB is not the best summer course for the younger ones if you want a really intense summer. It's not like CPYB where you have 4 classes a day. It's not like Houston Ballet where you had 4 classes a day. So I would recommend for a younger student, if you want an intense summer, try some other places. If you want an easier summer and you want to enjoy New York and have lots of great experiences but don't do a lot of ballet class, SAB might be a good place for you. So having said that, that was my problem my first year at SAB. When I was there, I think there were only 6 levels. Now one time there was 9, now there's 7. I don't know how the levels work anymore. This was ages ago. I didn't like the fact at 13 that it was not an intense summer. So the next year I went to Houston Ballet at 14, which I think I've said in my summer course history video many, many, many moons ago with the bad lighting and the bad camera. You can check it out if you want and just laugh along with me. So I went to Houston Ballet the next summer and worked my tush off. I mean, we had 4 classes a day plus 2 hours of rep at night. I came home from that summer so in shape, so exhausted. It was my favorite summer course. So then my family and I, after that summer, we we saw, okay, I'm getting in shape. I might have a talent here. Where do you want to dance when you get older? That's what my dad said to me. Katie, where do you want, what's your dream company? And I said New York City Ballet, which is a great tip for you guys. If you don't want to dance Balanchine, there is no need for you to go to SAB summer course because it is all Balanchine. If you do not want to dance classical and be in American Ballet Theater or some such company like that, don't do the ABT summer course. Think about the kind of career you want to have. Think about the kind of company you want to dance in and aim for that summer course. I never went to ABT because I had no desire to be in ABT. While I love the company, it wasn't quite the style I wanted to dance, and vice versa. Some people can admire New York City Ballet and love the Balanchine thing, but don't want to dance it. So there's no point for you to go to SAB if you don't want to dance Balanchine. Don't get caught up in the ABC alphabet soup thing, ABT and SAB and da-da-da, and what's the best. If you don't want to dance Balanchine, don't bother, because you will learn Balanchine and it will be all Balanchine and you have to do the straight back forth and the pirouette. You have to do, you know what I mean? So if you don't want to do that, don't bother. Just because your friends are going or just because your friends are auditioning. If that's not your thing, don't do it. Okay, back to the story. My dad sat me down and he said, where do you want to dance? And I said, New York City Ballet. And as you guys have heard me say many, many times on here, if you want to be in the New York City Ballet, you have to attend the School of American Ballet. You have to be in their winter course. They do not audition outside. They only take from their school. So that was our first step. All right, you want to be in the New York City Ballet, we got to get you into SAB. There's no other way to do it. It's the only company like that. Even companies like PNB, while they are Balanchine based, they still hold auditions. You don't have to go to the PNB school. So we made a plan and we said, all right, we are going to focus on getting you to SAB. Step one, do the summer course again. So I auditioned again at 15 for the summer course. Ended up getting another scholarship. My teacher that year was Katrina Killian, who is still there. She did my audition. So I went to the SAB summer course with the intention of trying to get them to ask me to stay for the year. So I went in with an entirely different attitude, and that year I ended up being in the highest level, in level 6. So I did level 2, skipped a year, level 6. And it was an entirely different summer course. It was incredibly tiring. There was a very high pressure situation because everybody in the top level at SAB wants to stay. So it was like constant pressure, teachers coming in and out, Kate Mazo coming in, writing down things. It was very tough. So if you want an intense summer and you're a little bit older, go to SAB. Everybody says that. It's like 2 entirely different summer programs. You do every single class on point. Don't bother bringing ballet shoes. You won't put them on if you're in the top 3, 4 levels. I think 4, 5, and 6, at least when I was there, was all point shoes. I don't know about now. Maybe it's 4, 5, 6, and 7. But I didn't wear a pair of ballet shoes. We had point every class, variations all the time, like hour-and-a-half point classes instead of an hour. We didn't do character. So it's a totally different experience, and I was exhausted by the end. And so they ended up, I think my first week, maybe second, maybe it was the end of the first week, I don't remember. They asked me to stay for the winter, and that was huge for me. And then, you know, we said, all right, can we do this? Now, I was very fortunate in that I am an only child, so my parents were able to do that. My mom moved up with me at the end of that year, and I attended the year-round program. But before we get into that part of the story, again, some SAB tips. It used to be that you went into the office and said, I want to be considered for the winter term, and so they had your name on a list. When I was there, I don't remember doing that. Now I think they're going back to that. So if you attend SAB for the summer and you want to stay for the winter course, day one, go into the office, be bold, be brave. Say, I'd very much like to be considered to stay for the winter course. How do I go about doing that? Do I need to put my name on a list? Do I need to tell someone? What steps do I need to take? Don't wait till the last week. I've heard about people who have wanted to stay for the winter course, didn't say anything, went in the last week, and they said, I'd like to stay for the winter term. And they said, well, I wish I had known that sooner. We would have looked at you. Because if you tell them early, they will look at you all summer course. That's why you tell them day one, week one. Don't wait. Please don't wait. So go in, say, I'd like to stay for the summer. I'd like to stay for the winter course. How do I go about doing that? And they will tell you. And guys, really, a lot of you want to know what they like. Musicality is number one. Musicality has always been number one with SAB. Stay on the music. Do the heads they give. They're very picky about dancers doing the combinations the way they give them, because New York City Ballet is a company that brings in a lot of choreographers and does a lot of new work. And so in the school, they groom you to pick up choreography quickly, to be able to work with these new choreographers, so that if you do in fact get into the company, you are easy to work with. You can be depended upon to do the choreography the way the choreographer wants it. So they are very big on that. Do not do arms up on a grand jeté if they've given, an arabesque, whatever it is. Do the combination the way they give it, musicality, and lots of energy. They don't like people in class like this. They like to see your eyes sparkling and you're there to work, your passion, your drive. That's pretty much any school, really. You don't have to be a phenomenal turner. You don't have to have your leg wrapped around your head. SAB really is about the passion, the energy, the musicality, and listening and doing the combination the way they give it. That's just another tip. Back to the story. So I ended up staying. My mom moved up with me, which I was incredibly blessed to have my mom be able to do that. We got an apartment because I didn't particularly want to stay in the dorms. My mom and dad didn't want me to stay in the dorms. I was only 15, only child. So my mom moved up with me, and my dad commuted when he could, because he is an endodontist, a dentist who does root canals. He's a specialist, and he had his own practice in Alabama where we were living, and he couldn't start over. I mean, he built that practice for 20 years. So he commuted when he could. So it was not an easy situation for them. And Mom and Dad, thank you so much for doing that, because I couldn't have succeeded without you guys doing that. So moved up for the year, started taking class. I was in level C2 my first year. The intermediate and advanced division at School of American Ballet has 5 levels. B1 and B2 are the intermediate division, and then C1, C2, and D are the advanced division. I was in C2. The thing about the winter course is it's pretty much the same schedule as the summer course. You dance all day long. So you have morning technique class, 10:30 to 12, and then you have some sort of class in the afternoon, whether it's variations, pas de deux, point. There were always 2 classes a day. And there are different ways you can do schooling. There's a public and performing arts school in New York that takes Broadway kids, they take ballet kids, they take kids on TVs and movies that are very, very flexible with the arts schedules. So kids would go at 8 and do 1 class, and then come back to SAB, do their ballet class, go back to school and do more work, and then come back for the 2nd class or something like that in both of those schools. Public, private, both do that. I did the 3rd option, which was online high school. So I did half of my 9th grade year in Alabama online, and then my 10th, 11th, and 12th high school through Indiana University High School. They have a whole online correspondence type high school. It's not homeschool, but you do the work online. You have proctored exams that I had to go to a college to take at the end of every semester. It really wasn't a big deal. And I could do the work at my own pace, which I loved. So I did that, and my first year was great. We ended up doing a Nutcracker in Stamford, Connecticut, which the SAB kids no longer do, which is unfortunate, but it used to be that they brought us all in, and I was Marzipan that year and Snowflake. And then the year plugged along, and Workshop came around, which is the end of the year, the end of the year show. It's not a recital. It's just the end of the year thing. And it's always a big deal. Typically, C1, C2, and D are the only students in Workshop unless there's a ballet that calls for younger kids. And I was given every lead role that ever existed in that that first workshop, which I didn't deserve, very grateful for. Typically there are 3 performances of workshops, so we got to alternate casts. So I didn't do the lead in every ballet every time. One cast, I did the second movement principle of Western Symphony. I did the lead in that one. I think I was cast A for that, so I did that 2 shows. And then the other performance, I was cast B for 2 new ballets. One was by Benjamin Millepied, 28 Variations on a Theme by Paganini, I think is what it was. And then the other ballet was called Tribute, and it was choreographed by Jacques d'Amboise' son, Christopher d'Amboise, and it was just a tribute to the black and white Balanchine ballets, essentially. And I was the pas de deux girl in that ballet, I think. Again, it's been so long now. I had to think about that for a minute. And it was an amazing experience, and I loved doing every moment of it. What was funny is at the end of the year, everybody said, oh, you're going to be an apprentice, you're going to be an apprentice, you're going to be an apprentice. And that year, I think Peter Martins took all boys, maybe all boys and like one girl who was 10 feet tall or something like that. He literally took all boys. Robbie Fairchild, Devin Alberta, Andrew Scordato. There were at least 2 more. I can't remember, but it was like all boys, which was fine, but it was very unexpected. And, you know, again, as terms of being an apprentice, it's a matter of what they need in the company. Do they need a lot of boys? Then they're going to take boys. You know, do they need tall girls? Then they're going to take tall girls. And just because you have a lead in the workshop doesn't mean you're going to get taken as an apprentice. My first year, there was another girl who is now principal with Carolina Ballet, who was by far the best in the school. Her name is Jan Burkhart. You can look her up. And she was phenomenal. She was another one that did leads in everything. Everybody was like, oh, Jan's going to be a shoo-in. And he didn't take her. She was moved up in the middle of the year. I mean, she is a phenomenal, phenomenal dancer. I mean, unreal, can do anything. And she won one of the Wien Awards. So it's like, just because you win a Wien Award, just because you get a lead in the workshop, doesn't mean you're gonna be taken into the company. It's just a matter of what they need at the time or what the look they want is. And there's no rhyme or reason of how they do that. So don't, if you are an SAB student, don't take that for granted. I've seen that particular year that he took all the boys and a tall girl, maybe it was 2 tall girls, I don't remember. The weird thing was neither of them had a principal role, and some of the boys didn't have principal roles. So it was very odd. So you cannot use the workshop and the Wien Awards as, oh, they're gonna get taken into the company. So don't lose hope, guys, and if you get a Wien Award or you get a lead in workshop, don't rest on it. Still work your hardest, still do everything you can, because there's no guarantee. After the workshop, we did our end of the year meetings, which I believe you have meetings every Christmas and every end of the year. And that's where you go in and you sit down with the faculty and they tell you what you need to work on, where your career is going. Should you audition for summer courses in companies? Should you not? That's where you really start to know where you stand. And I believe I talked about this in the apprenticeship story video, but we're still on my first year. So I went in for that meeting at the end of the year, and they said, we really would like you to stick around. Please stay here and do the summer course. Don't go anywhere. You know, the faculty was basically saying, we are going to want you, just not right now. We want you to stick around, keep training, but your time is not yet. That's essentially what they were saying. So I ended up doing the summer course as a year-round student. It happens. Sometimes in the top level, you will be in there with apprentices or some of the advanced kids from the year, because those are the kids they want to keep training and they like to keep in-house because they might have a future at New York City Ballet. So I ended up doing the summer course as an SAB student again in the top level that year. I think I ended up getting injured halfway through, or a bout of tendonitis hit me, and I ended up going home early. I didn't complete the summer course. They said, you know, go get well, come back for the year. And so that was my summer. So it is done. You might be able to do the SAB summer course as a year-round kid. And then I came back for my second year, which was an entirely different year that I'm going to save for another video because we're already really, really long. So I hope that this video not only told you my first year SAB story, but gave you some insights. If there's anything about SAB I did not cover that you are curious about, leave me a comment and I will cover it in the part 2 video. Because again, this is the kind of vehicle I can use to give you those insights and to really help you along if you are interested in attending the School of American Ballet. So leave me a question, leave me a comment. I will cover it in part 2 when we talk about my second year there. If you missed the video where I talked about becoming an apprentice, it's right down there. You can click it to watch. Happy New Year, you guys. I love you so much, and I will see you next time.